22 Board of Adjustment meeting. Could I get a roll call, please, Brandy?
Yes. Kays.
Here.
Brink.
Here.
Aletsky.
Present.
Douglas Johnson.
Here.
Culhane.
Here.
And Hanson, Dolly, Spire, and Ford are absent. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Before I move on to item 3, I believe Heath has an announcement.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Brink. Wanted to just briefly announce before the meeting here this evening that we did complete our search for a new community development manager. The community development manager, of course, leads that division of public works and includes the planning and zoning and the building services functions of the city. Through some interview processes, of which Commissioner Culhane was able to be part of, along with our HR director, myself, city manager, I'm forgetting
Chief Toomey.
Chief Toomey was part of that as well. Appreciative for all their efforts on the interviews, and we resulted in hiring within and appointing Brandy Hanton as the new community development manager.
Congratulations, Brandy.
Thank you.
So we're excited to have her on board. Of course, she's been on staff for quite a while to know the ropes and the processes that we're administering, and fully on board with the vision and the direction we're moving things in and the development realm here in Watertown. So looking forward to doing great things with Brandy in the capacity as a community development manager.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations, Brandy, and thanks for
It's awesome.
letting us know.
So you're advertising for a new planner?
Yes, that's a good point. We will be advertising for a new senior planner as soon as we can here, so that'll be open.
Right on.
Yes, thank you, Heath, and
I'm not
I'm
looking
excited
for a
for the
job.
opportunity here.
All right. Item 3 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the May 5th meeting. Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Fourth item on the agenda is our regular agenda. 4A is a conditional use and variance request at 1809 11th Avenue Southwest. Brandy, would you take over, please?
Yes, thank you, Brink. So, as you stated, this is a conditional use and a variance request for the property at 1809 11th Avenue Southwest. I'll pull up the map here so you can see which property we're talking about in proximity. So, here highlighted in blue, the owner is Russ Ronke, and so he owns the property to the east as well. And so what he is proposing here and the necessity for the conditional use is he's asking for a caretaker's residence. This is in the I-1 Light Industrial District. So, and now let me pull up the site plan so you can see. So he has existing storage, as you can see on the map, and then what he's proposing is to include more storage units, and then would like to include a manager's quarter, or what we refer to it as is the caretaker's residence, on the south side there that will be abutting 11th Avenue South and 19th Street West. And then I'll just explain the variance up front to the variance request. So he is requesting a 25-foot front yard setback. In the I-1 district, it's typically 40. And he can kind of get into the reasoning for requesting it. However, it is, he will be required to replat the property or do a development lot agreement to tie the two together. But it's really, I believe, to have enough separation between the two buildings. And then it is adjacent to residential zoning to the west. It's zoned R2, R4. Let me turn that on. So R4 manufactured homes district. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Thank you, Brandy. So right now, both of those properties, like you said, will be tied together after this, and they won't be separate properties. They'll be tied together, then replatted. Is that correct?
Yep.
Brandy, are these hard surfaced areas already?
So currently, I believe there is just gravel surfacing, but he will be actually maybe on this I can have the applicants speak to that, but with the new proposed structure, he will be required to have the parking, loading, and access, hard surfaced.
Brandy, off of, or in the I-1 zone, what is our side yard setbacks?
20 feet.
20 feet. So this is kind of a unique property where it has 2 front yards and then 2 side yards. So off of both 19th Street and 11th, it would be 40 is what regularly is required, and then the side yards would be 20. you said?
Yep, and that's a good point too, Jeff, thank you. So from the south and the west, the setback would be 40 feet, and then from the north and the east, it would be 20 feet.
So he's requesting 2 variances on each yard.
Yep, so the front yard setback would be 25 feet versus the 40.
On both frontages.
Yep,
Brandy, where are we in the city? I'm struggling to understand.
so we are just south of 212. Let's see here, Dakota Butcher
Okay.
is
All right.
right to the north. No,
That's, Sugar's was where you're pointing at now, and the motel is right.
this is a motel.
All right, I will open the public hearing for this on both items, both the conditional use and the variance. So if there's anyone that wishes to speak in favor or against this item, please feel free to approach the mic and state your name for the record.
Russ, could you come up to the mic? Russ, I don't know, we've been issuing conditional uses for caretaker residences as part of other industrial uses. And so I think the question I think most of us are probably just wondering about is, why do we have to be 25 feet off 11th? Why can't we go further north on your property?
To make it more profitable. If you look at the property, not asking anything, the other storage sheds to the east are 15 feet off the property. The motel to the north is almost on the property line. The houses to the west are in line 25 feet. I know it's why that property was I-1, I have no idea, but everything there is I-1, and I'm just not asking anything more than what's in the neighborhood, trying to make it profitable as I can. On the east side, we just did, we've raised that in the past to above flood level. Just recently I spent $25,000 putting a gravel surface on it to make it look better. You can see how haphazard all of the camper parking and stuff was. Now it's in line, looks much better. Just trying to keep improving it and make it profitable instead of mowing a whole bunch of land.
So, Brandy, could you slide it to the east a little bit? Where will be the north, I'm sorry, there you go. Where will the north end of the storage unit be in relationship to that to that manufactured home right there?
It's going to be where the
Let me just,
street ends.
so right, yep, so right.
It's right there.
Yeah. Which makes it so you can load and unload.
And what will the property be used to the north of the building? Are you planning on storing campers and those types of things up there?
I want to put a garage there so I can have the mower and the blade, that stuff up north.
I guess where I'm probably at is that the people that live right there in that lot there probably aren't gonna wanna see other outdoor storage and those types of things, and by putting a storage unit there, we're gonna be cleaning up that lot a little bit. Where I would be at with it is if we move forward on the conditional use to approve, I would probably have some sort of amendment that deals with outdoor storage on that north part of the property.
And anytime when there's an industrial property that abuts residential, they are required to have outdoor storage screened.
I would just say no storage is probably is what my amendment is
No
going to
outdoor.
be.
Okay.
Brandy, does this lot meet the minimum requirements of I-1? Can you build anything on this lot?
Individually, it would not because, so it has, let's find the square footage here. It doesn't meet the frontage requirement for sure. So it is 85. Okay, so the total lot is 38,244 square feet. That meets the minimum lot size requirement for the I-1, which is 30,000. And then his frontage, you know, he has 85, you typically need 100. And I mean, he has two frontages, so he has 350 here. But it's not by frontage, it's the width itself. So he wouldn't meet that requirement, but the fact that he owns the property to the east, it'll be tied together, so it'll meet the minimum standards.
And so we're talking a replat?
Yep. Replat, or really a development lot agreement he could do to tie them together. When it's a new construction like this, we like to see the replat. We've talked about that. I think he's been working with a surveyor on getting, you know, with his site plan, but then also for the replat portion.
But, and I apologize, just so we're real clear on the financial hardship aspect of the variance. I mean, can you build anything on that lot right now?
Yeah, I could build more storage sheds, whatever, but I want to move out there. I live up by the schools, and now we would transfer our living to there.
I think what Liam's asking is if any building permit came before us, would it require a variance because of
No.
the width? Or-
No, because the two properties will be tied together.
But
So,
if-
and that's the difference of.
But-
No,
if this was just-
assuming that they weren't, let's say that
Yeah.
we're viewing just this lot.
Okay.
With hypothetical owner A, could hypothetical owner A, not owning any other property adjacent, build anything on that with the current setbacks and the I-1 requirements?
They would have to meet setbacks, and that's the tough thing because it's not.
But what I'm saying is, so 40 in takes you've got 45 feet left, right? And then what's the setback from the interior?
Side would be 20, so if it's an 85-foot lot, it leaves
So
25
you can build
feet
a
in the middle.
25-foot narrow building in the center of that lot, is what we're getting at?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we've met the requirements. Thanks.
So are these, does your existing building have like garage doors for storage? And that's what you're gonna do on this one? Which
Yep.
way will those doors face?
East or west?
They'll
They'd be
face west?
Yep.
And they'll have access into the property from just the north? Or where are you getting access in?
From the west.
So I'm gonna access I'm gonna have a driveway coming in off of, what's the street, north-south street there?
10th
10th?
The 19th?
10th and
19th.
19th, yeah.
11th and 19th. So you're looking at, and you're saying that you're gonna wanna have, where's the interior circulation looking at on this?
So Russ, here on this map,
Yep.
so this is the existing access.
Yep.
And then would you be asking for more access points onto,
Be here, along here.
that's where the garage doors would be?
Yep.
So then, but you would need some driveways?
Yeah, it would.
Can
It'd be similar to if you go over on 14th. The buildings that are over on 14th all have access from the street. They have no curb, and I'm asking for a curb cut so that
for
we
each individual garage unit?
just cut the curb down that 100 and some feet or 200, whatever it is on the north.
Why wouldn't we just have everything face the east as far as all your garages?
Because it would, there really isn't enough room to turn and back a camper in. These are for big campers. And I mean, it's not gonna be, you got a camper, you're not gonna be in there every other day. I mean, you're probably gonna take a camper out there once a week for 2 weeks. I mean, it's not gonna be Highway 212 going up and down the roads. I mean, not gonna be bothering people more than they are coming into their driveways and backwards. I mean, you're making it sound like it's gonna be a highway there. It's not. I mean, it's gonna
No,
be.
what you're saying is that the whole west side is gonna be one long driveway?
No, not, it'll just be where the storage buildings are. And they're 14 feet each, so I mean, there's gonna be 15 doors.
But that's my point, you know, 15 doors across that stretch is gonna be a lot more access points than you would see on a normal city block.
And he would be restricted by the engineering design standards of how many driveways and their spacing between. So really, in an industrial district, you can have a maximum 40-foot wide driveway. And so if he was splitting a minimum of 12 feet, so if he wanted to do 3 separate driveways spaced appropriately, which I believe is 50 feet apart.
But that's not what he said. He said he wanted a rolled
Right.
rolled
Right.
curb all the way along
I mean,
19th.
you can't, it wouldn't work by having curbs to jump a curb with your motorhome or whatever.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying
I
that's
mean-
not in agreement with your design standards that
Right.
what the city allows. And we don't have the ability to variance those design standards.
Right.
But, you
So I
know,
just want to make sure the applicant's aware that what he's talking about, a rolled curb all the way, is not something that's even allowed by ordinance.
Right.
well, we're looking at, you go a block over and you've got Mintronics, you've got overhead door, you got, the boys that have there are no driveways, it's a curb cut all the way across. And there's the same thing, they have neighbors right across the street from it, so what's the difference? I mean,
I'm gonna say probably, I'm not trying to argue, Russ, but the difference is that I'm guessing those standards weren't in place when those businesses were built. And so that's something, I don't know what that process is,
Yeah.
Brandy, to allow that to happen. Is it allowable with your design standards as they are today?
No, and so he could do the controlled access points. It just couldn't, but that would limit people being able
right,
to
It's
to
gonna-
maneuver into their.
it's gonna take away,
But what you could do is have because you have 60 feet between this storage building and then what you're proposing. So the fact that it would be shifted further to the west to allow more maneuvering in between.
Yeah.
What, is there an issue with facing the doors to the east?
if you have a pretty good driver, you know, they get them in there.
Well, if you got a 25 or 28 foot, you know, camper trailer and a 22, I mean, that makes it tight, even with a guy that knows how to back up a grain truck.
Yeah,
Which way do the doors face on the existing building?
both sides. And they're only 10 by 20s and 10 by 10s.
What's the width of the garage storage unit?
40. The other one's 30 foot wide.
And what's the front yard setback in the R4 district?
25.
I'm gonna guess that the neighbors to the west would probably rather have that storage unit closer and have everything moved in, parked in on, you know, so that they're not looking at campers going in and out all the time. And whether that's on the weekends or at certain times of the year, you know, if you were to put that thing 20 feet off that line and then have all the doors facing the east, you're gonna have 65 feet to back something in and out of there. That maybe would be a better compromise and at least impact, and then you're not asking for a rolled curb and something that's not allowed by design standards today.
And can I add too, because you really aren't supposed to use the public street for maneuvering. So if that could be accomplished on the private property, you know, and then even this measurement, so if you would go 25-foot setback from the west property line of your property,
Right.
then it would be, you'd have 75 feet there from the edge of 19th, where then what Todd is suggesting, then that would be,
65?
yeah.
Are we, Chair, are we allowed to, give more than, for a variance than what they're requesting? Are we, if he's proposing 25 feet, can we give him 20 at this point? Can we amend the,
Yeah,
because that's what we're talking about, right, Todd?
I think,
I think you could give less than what's requested, but not more.
How tall are these buildings? Or this building?
14. The
14 sidewall, or,
The living area would be 8 foot
Well-
with, and probably 14 with the roof, and then the other one's gonna be 14 and probably 20 foot,
20-foot peak?
probably 20, 25. It's,
How,
Hey.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
go ahead.
I was gonna ask, how often do you anticipate spending the night at those living quarters?
That's where I'm gonna live.
Okay. The public hearing is open. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in favor or against this item? Is there any other questions that the board members have for the applicant?
If we do what you're talking, I guess that's fine. If we can move it, the motel's on the line. If we can move that over to 15 foot off the line for the building,
no, I don't think I'd be in favor of that, but
and there'd be nothing there but a building, and same as, we're talking about, three houses that we're looking at.
yeah.
And one's a rental, the other two are owned. I'm not saying that it's a difference because it's a rental, but I'm trying to make it so it's feasible.
Brandy, does he have to screen it from the residential?
Yes.
So it has to have a fence?
Yep.
Well-
Yep, it can be fenced or
Or we could waive that requirement if he's not gonna have the
outdoor storage.
outdoor storage, or he's not going to access 19th. That could be waived.
We're gonna have fence around it, around the whole thing.
Let me just
So-
pull that.
Where's that fence gonna be located in reference? How are you gonna have a fence all the way around it if you wanted to access it from 19th?
It would not, there wouldn't be a fence there, there's a fence.
Okay, then you had
I'm
fence.
talking about the perimeter of the, because there's too much, right now, they use our property for a speedway to Woody's and and,
You're talking on the,
212.
you're talking on the north end of the property.
no, south, and they just go buzzing through.
Brandy, would you put the diagram up so he could show where that fence would be located?
The fence would be,
And you can, do you want to use that to?
yeah, it'd be from the north all the way, we've got an ingress and egress to the north, past the motel. There would be an entrance there with a gate, with the electronic gate, and on the south, on 11th Street also. Right now, they're using my property to access Woody's, the motel, Highway 212.
So you're gonna have a fence running from there to there with a gate on the north,
And then down from the north to the south on the,
all the way down to the 11th, or
and then over and connecting to the building.
can you put fences? Is it gonna be like a chain link fence, or?
No, it'd be steel.
And just, you can do any type of fence, just no barbed wire.
And it can be right up on the front, along the east-west? What about seeing around the corner and those types of things?
Yep, they have to maintain a clear view triangle, so it would have to be 25 feet back from a street corner, but you can have a fence in the front yard, 6 feet tall. So, but he would have to cut it down, it
Right
would
there.
have to,
go like
be
that.
able to maintain the clear view triangle. Unless you want to go, you know, to a,
But you can't put a
Shorter.
fence on the west side of the property if you wanted to access that.
No. We understand that. There's a fence on that. Right now, there's a fence by the
oh, is it, oh, right there.
the private fence along there.
Maybe you guys can see that.
So you could put another 30-foot building there, Russ, and do smaller storage, right? And you wouldn't have to,
I don't want to. It's not feasible. We have a lot of requests for larger motorhomes and stuff. I'd rather do that.
but,
And I want to be able to live in the house.
well,
enough
I have
room there.
another issue with that one, but this board knows that.
Yeah. Well,
I
it's
guess I'm just saying that you could still do storage, you know, and have doors accessible to the east.
But my property, I want to do what I want to do, and from what I understand, it's permissible. We're just talking about access and setbacks. And we went past that. I'm agreeable to do the access on the east side. We're asking for a setback, and that's pretty much it.
Brandy, with the caretaker residence, is full-time living allowed? Is that just, or?
Yep, it's, and that's something, you know, we've talked about multiple times, of revisiting that. But currently, the definition says for a dwelling unit for a single family of with a person who either owns or is employed by the business.
Thank you.
When we're talking access from the east, where are we talking specifically again, one more time?
I guess where I'm at with it is that I'm not in favor of a west access off of 19th Street coming on and accessing for storage garages. I think it would be better for the neighborhood. I know we probably can't do the variance action by moving it closer, but the conditional use, I'm fine with it. However, I think the garages should face to the east. If we can get it 5 feet over close to the west, you'd have 65 feet to make the turn. And then on the other end, on the north end of the property that's adjacent to that residential home up there, I'm thinking he's talking about putting a garage, that would be fine. The question becomes whether or not you have any outdoor storage associated with that storage facility. I'm not talking to you right now, Russ, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of where my thoughts are going.
Chair, looking at the actual application, it doesn't make any mention of 25 foot. The drawing has 25 foot on it, but the actual variance just says setback.
How is it noticed in the paper?
Let's verify.
So we may still be able to, I mean, toying with the idea of trying to resurrect. The actual signed application, page 8 of 10, indicates that it's just for a setback. Doesn't specify the setback.
Mr. Roby, do you want to chime in on what your thoughts are, or?
I would agree with Matt. If it's been noticed that for a certain specific setback, then I think we're stuck.
So this
Yeah,
is,
It says 25.
That's 25.
Yeah.
I guess, Russ, also, if you're gonna come back, I'd like to see what that whole building's gonna look like instead of just a rectangle on the drawing, if you can. Again, my point of view on residential, and the only thing saving you on this one for, in my case, is that there is other surrounding homes here. So I probably won't squawk as much as I do not like people living in, commercial, or, you know, commercial buildings. So, but I would like to see what that's gonna look like, since we have to send you away. If you want if you're, you know, thinking that you would go along Todd's idea of
Why would
asking
we
for,
have to come back when?
because we can't give that to you, giving you more feet, so.
Russ, and I don't speak for everybody, but I think the general, it sounds like maybe the consensus is we're willing to give you the variance, or at least approve the variance at 20 feet, even more than what you've asked for. with the idea that we've got east-facing doors, right, and we're not accessing a bunch off on 19th. Again, with maybe some additional conditions on the actual conditional use part of it too. I mean, I think it's gonna get a little bit complicated, but in order to do that, we'd have to renotice the hearing and come back and do that. I'm personally in favor of doing that and be willing to do, I don't know if the proper thing is to table it and renotice it, or do you?
I think it's, I think the proper would be for the applicant to withdraw the variance request. Otherwise, because if we act on it and we deny it, he's gotta wait 6 months, right?
Yep.
We're inclined to go with you, Russ, but in fact, go ahead more than what you're willing to do.
I
and try
think
to
that,
make it work.
I think if it was me, Russ, I would request to withdraw the variance request and the CUP request at this time, allow staff to re-advertise it where we would allow a 20-foot front yard setback, which would then allow that. And then I think what Commissioner Dargetts wants is she would like to at least see what kind of materials you're going to be using, what the building would look like, at least from the neighbor's standpoint, what they'd have to see. Is that correct?
It's gonna be the same as,
Take a picture of it and just show it to us so we can see.
well,
I mean,
this was I haven't really done anything forward until I got, I didn't wanna get ahead of the wall, but I will get it and see.
I don't think anybody's against you having storage units there, or even the ordinance allows you to live there. I think your idea of accessing storage units from 19th Street is not well received.
I agree.
Doing with what you want to do. I think if we could move the storage unit further to the west, still give 65 feet, which you should be able to get, anybody that drives a camper should be able to make that corner.
Should be.
Should be. And I know,
Not
we've
me.
seen.
I used to be able to.
But, and then we'll come back. I think if you're gonna have fencing and all those types of things, it's kinda nice to see that notated on a drawing. And so it gives us a better idea so that we're not peppering you with lots of questions.
Okay. So we have to do the 200 and 150 again?
I
That's
would,
up to staff. I mean, we don't.
I would,
really-
I mean, I would say, how much does it cost I would say that you wouldn't have to reapply, pay a reapplication fee.
Right, well, because it's basically being tabled. And then, but yeah,
What's the policy on those types of things? If he withdraws it, then he would.
I mean,
but
it's
if- but
not
if-
a big deal, but,
But if I don't want to incur an extra cost on him because we're trying to work with him.
yeah.
right, and it's basically just the notice fee.
What's that,
So,
about 25, 28, $30?
It's hard to say, but we'll work with you on it and we'll let you know.
I'll pay that, that's fine.
But unless the 25 feet, unless you can make that work.
It just gives them a little bit more room between the two.
5 feet's a lot when you're trying to take a camper and a boat or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we want to do the conditional use?
I would recommend that we would just take them all up together at the same time because we're going to be talking about maybe some conditions on it and it's all moot if we don't grant the variance because that's really what would be the first action.
So-
And then the replatting, you can still move forward on that.
I'll get that done. I'll get a building plan for you and,
We're close. We're real close,
I s-
Russ. We're real close.
I do think, though, if you guys were able to take action on the conditional use, because I actually put that as the first action point.
Well, my
then
conditional
he's
use is going to
able
be predicated on a variance being granted, and I don't know, I don't think that's the right way of handling it. I'd rather grant the variance, though I know I can make the motion to approve predicated on it being closer to the yard. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're setting up the conditional use before the variance, and the variance is the bigger issue in my mind.
Okay.
Because
enough.
we could grant the conditional use subject to a variance, and then if we don't grant the variance, maybe two other people show up and they don't want to see that variance granted next time, and then we're behind the eight ball.
Yeah, see, and I have a reverse mentality on that, but that is fine, we can bring them together. And it doesn't matter, they're noticed together anyway, so it's not an additional cost to re-advertise for that.
and we, and I'm amenable to doing what you said, Todd. And I'll get things together. When would the next,
June
you give
9th,
me June 9th, I should have that done by then.
because we have 2 weeks in between the next meeting, so we'll be able to make notice requirements. So that's the next meeting is June 9th.
Okay,
Hopefully that doesn't delay you too long, Russ, but I think that's,
no. Well, it gives me an idea now that I can kind of go forward with what we're gonna do. And,
it'd be a lot
Get it done.
different, I think, if you didn't have residences living right across the
Right,
street from you.
right. So I'll come and see you about the replat?
You already got
Sounds
that in the
good.
works.
Huh?
You already got that in the works. All right, thank you.
I'll close the public hearing and, I guess, and then that, application's been withdrawn, so I guess we will move on to item 5, which is open public comment. Is there anyone here to speak on something that's not on the agenda?
Nope, I don't believe so.
All right. Then I'll move on to item 6, new business. Do we have any new business?
Nope, none that I have.
Item 7, any old business?
Nope.
Item 8, motion to adjourn. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
A motion in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Whenever you're ready, we'll start